At the start of 2022's new ground effect era, Aston Martin's launch specification car proved unsuited to the new rules. Just like Mercedes, the team had anticipated producing a lot of downforce when the car was close to the ground, but it found that porpoising prevented it from being able to run as low as it would like. To avoid the bouncing, the team had to raise the ride height a lot, and that meant it sacrificed a lot of performance. The AMR22 began life inauspiciously as Nico Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel struggled to make an impression on the midfield runners. The problems prompted Aston Martin to chase an alternative concept, which it duly delivered to its car at the Spanish Grand Prix. That helped put the team on a path to recovery, as it managed to lift its form to finish 7th in the Constructors' Championship. But, perhaps more importantly, the team had made enough of a step to convince Fernando Alonso to join it for 2023, looking back at the way Aston Martin responded to its early season headaches. Stroll suggests that, a few years ago, the same situation would have been impossible for the team to salvage and it would have been left pegged to the bottom of the standing. In the opening 5 rounds of the campaign, Aston Martin was forced to settle for a backseat role in the Constructors' Championship, largely battling only Williams at the tail end of the grid. But at the Spanish Grand Prix, fortunes changed when the Silverstone-based outfit introduced a radical concept change as part of an update package, turning to a philosophy adapted by Red Bull from the start of the campaign. The changes worked, with Vettel and Stroll pulling the team up to 7th in the standings by the end of the year, only just missing out on 6th after finishing level on points with Alfa Romeo due to Valtteri Bottas' 5th place in the Imola Grand Prix. The Silverstone squad is gearing up for the launch of its AMR23 car at its factory on the 13th of February, with interest surrounding the team heightened with it having signed Fernando Alonso to partner Lance Stroll for the 2023 season. Although it remains coy about the details of the design of its new challenger, team's deputy technical director Eric Blandon suggests there should be some interesting ideas on it. "We've implemented a few clever innovations on the new car. They're the icing on the cake," he said in an interview published on the team's website. "They're a nice to have, but not a must-have. It's great when you find a small loophole and can use it to your advantage, but it's not often you can base an entire car around it. Instead, it's essential to get the basics right. And then you can add things. When you start a new car project, you identify what your limitations were the previous year and how you can overcome them with the new design, and you define the architecture that will give you the most potential for the future. If you pursue the wrong concept, you can end up boxing yourself in, you run out of road for development, and that's a very difficult situation to get out of." Aston Martin is no stranger to taking things to the extreme, having unleashed an innovative rear-wing design concept at last year's Hungarian Grand Prix. The scroll-like solution cleverly got around rules that were aimed at limiting what teams could do within plate space. While the design was given the green light for last season, changes to the regulations for 2023 have meant it is now outlawed. The AMR23 looks set to be a big departure from last year's car, which required a mid-season change in concept after the team realized its launch specification had gone in the wrong direction. Asked how much of the 2023 design was different, Blandon said, "We took all our learnings from last year's car and applied them to this year's car. So much of the AMR23 is new. It's completely different from the AMR22. We've changed more than 90% of the parts and more than 95% of the aerodynamic surfaces are different." Blandon was also clear that the team would not try to pull the wool over the eyes of fans by revealing a rebranded old car at its launch. "We will unveil the actual car, just as we did last year," he said. "The car we reveal at our new factory in Silverstone on the 13th of February will be the real AMR23. We're not going to disappoint fans." Aston Martin Deputy Technical Director Eric Blandon has revealed radical changes to the team's 2023 car have been impacted by feedback from new arrival Fernando Alonso. The two-time world champion joined Aston Martin from Alpine following the completion of the previous campaign and was able to drive the British team's 2022 car in post-season testing in Abu Dhabi. "Fernando's feedback is extremely precise," Blandon said. "He clearly communicated what he wants from the car and immediately identified a few things that we've been able to feed into the design of the AMR23. Last season, Fernando drove a car that was quite different from ours and more competitive. After driving the AMR22, he was quickly able to compare the two cars and say, 'This is clearly better, this is clearly worse, and this is what we should focus on.'" Blandon, who joined Aston Martin last year after enjoying a hugely successful 10-year spell with Mercedes as principal then chief aerodynamicist, elaborated on the extreme differences between last year's car and the new model. Alonso, who replaced Sebastian Vettel at Aston Martin following the German's retirement from F1, is confident that a special atmosphere within the team will help foster progress in 2023. The 41-year-old Spaniard produced another impressive campaign with Alpine, but was let down by reliability on several occasions as he ultimately finished ninth in the drivers' standings. Reflecting on his Aston Martin post-season test, Alonso said, "Next year's car will be very different compared to this one, so any feedback that you get from this one is not really relevant for when we drive the AMR23. Let's see how different is the new AMR23 from its predecessor. Let me know your thoughts about how competitive the AMR23 will be in 2023 season and how Fernando Alonso affect the team. The team will launch its car on 13th of Feb. I will meet you in the next video. Thanks for watching."